Today I'll be showing a possible expressive language therapy session for students between 6th and 8th grades. The goals that we will cover in our session are speaking in full sentences, using correct sentences, as well as following directions both verbally and in written form, as well as giving those. To start today's activities, I would ask the children if they have ever been asked to do something. Then, when they answer what they've done, I would ask what happened next. When I've had a few responses, I would explain that whether they knew it or not, they were following directions. I would give a few examples of common directions like sit down, come here, or stop that. I would ask if anyone had ever heard directions that they might have heard at school, such as no chewing gum, or no running, or raise your hand. I would then review the importance of good listening skills. After we've talked about this, I would go ahead and explain the rules of our game, called Road Race, in which each player puts their marker on the starting spot. Each player will take turns rolling the die and moving that number of spaces. The player draws a card and uses it to describe his or her situation. For example, if the student were to roll a 2 and they would land on the last thing you do, then they would pick up a card, and this card says making a sandwich. So what is the last thing? Sandwich. Well, my response I would hope for would be to enjoy the sandwich, or to take a bite of the sandwich, or give it to mom or dad. So that would be the last step in making a sandwich. If the player answers correctly, they would then be awarded 2 forward. If they did not get the answer correct, they would go back 2 spaces, and that would end their turn. It would then go. After each of the children had a couple of rounds of the game, or 15 minutes of play, we would then go ahead and clean up our game, and we would end our session with the EET model. Since we are using the EET model for 6th and 8th graders, I wouldn't have them jumping on the floor on the spots, but rather I would have them hold a bracelet that has the correct color beads, and as they go from step to step, I would have them move over each bead. So if they were to have dog, they would say, what is the group? It's an animal. For the blue, what does it do? A dog would bark. It's man's best friend. Because they're a little bit more advanced, I would hope that their answers would be more advanced. I would also expect that they would say these things in complete sentences. So rather than just dog, the dog is in the animal group, the dog barks, the dog is man's best friend, and so on. So they ET model with these beads, describing in detail and complete sentences so that we can work on fluency. And once each of the students have completed this, then I would go ahead and I would dismiss them. Now, for the student that may be struggling with these activities, for the game especially, if they didn't know what the last step to making a sandwich would be, I could give verbal cues such as giving choices. Would it be taking out the peanut butter, or would it be putting the spoon or the knife in the sink, or would it be taking a bite? They would then have to choose the correct answer, so I'm not taking away the opportunity for them to answer. I'm simply giving them more options. Because of course we want them to feel the success of that, and definitely to praise when they do answer correctly. To make it a little bit more challenging, I would be able to do something silly with these guys. Maybe if they were to land on what materials do you use in a sandwich, I might say, okay, to answer this, you need to stand on one foot, or you need to put your hands on your head, to get them to loosen up, to have fun. Even though they're 6th through 8th graders, they're still kids and they still want to have fun. And if you have fun, they're going to be more receptive to opening up to you and trusting you. So with that said, just remember that even the older kids, they will like to have fun, and it will help with their expressive language therapy.